All right, welcome to another video. Today I want to share with you some thoughts on AT&T and who should get into the stock. Now the stock is making some moves to the upside right now, but the question is should you buy it? So here in this video, I'm going to cover some of those topics. Keep in mind, none of these are recommendations to buy, sell, or trade any stocks. It's just my own personal opinion. All right, let's kick things off. AT&T, if you look on the daily or kind of today, we're starting to make some big moves. The stock is actually up about 7% or so on the day, and it's starting to show a little bit of this good sign to the upside. You know, the volume is also starting to pick up. So all of these things appear like it could be moving in the upside. Now, if you go ahead and take a look at this stock on a monthly chart and just draw things back, I mean, this stock has a pretty nasty chart, right? Anytime it gets to the upside right here, it's been selling off. So it's always had this overhead supply problem. But what's happening now is you're getting kind of to this lower level where, you know, chances are that stock's not going to go to zero. I mean, it's possible, but chances are it probably won't. So here, when you look at the lower levels, you might say, hey, some people are starting to nibble on it. Now, you could say it's still early because $20 is a really critical level of support. But you're right now at 23. So it's trying to find some way right here at this price level to do a little bit of a bounce. And you can see we hit some support levels, which is where a lot of value buyers are starting to really step in. And maybe some of the hedge funds are starting to step in and buy a handful of shares. And this is what's possible. If you look at kind of the ABCD pattern, you also have kind of this ABCD pattern that's maybe completed on the shorter term. So all of these things are kind of lining up. On the daily perspective, again, you've got this nice big bar that's bigger on an upside swing than most of these other recent bars. So it's a big move. So if you're looking at it from a trading perspective versus a long investment perspective, that's really the big question. So the key question is who should get into the stock? I think if you're kind of a day trader, you've already probably been into the stock because it was moving. If you're kind of trying to swing trade it, you have to, I'd say, look for follow through on the second day. You could get it on here, but remember, in one day, this can bounce and then take it right back out. So you have no idea. So be very careful as you're starting to nibble into these shares, but the volume is picking up some speed. Now, if you're more of a longer term investor and you say, hey, I don't think this stock is going to go to zero, it probably won't go down to $5. If that's your thinking, then this could be the other approach where saying, hey, I'm going to try to average in a little bit now, and I'm looking for this stock over the next 10 years. I mean, this, when you're really looking at it, this is a 10-year play. It's like, oh my goodness, that's a long time from somebody holding it. And really, if you draw it back to 2001, 2002, that's almost a 20-year play. So from the bottoms, you're kind of getting it at near the 20-year bottom, because that stock in 2002, 2003 was also around $20. So if you don't mind holding this thing for a long time, you're starting to see some things starting to nibble. But if you're trying to kind of day trade it or swing trade it, you know, right now that trend is still to the downside. So just take a look at the kind of the weekly bar and then the monthly bar. It's really kind of the first bar right now that you're starting to see green on the monthly bar. So this month it's starting to turn green. So it's possible you're going to start seeing some swing ups. But again, think of the longer term perspective in this case. And that's what you're looking at is out of a 20-year period almost, you're starting to come into some of those bottom lows. And that's what probably some people are kind of noticing as just a counter trend bounce. And then maybe some shorts also taking some of their profits as well, because there's probably been a lot of people that were short this stock. And now it's like, ooh, it's starting to go. I got to take off some of my position. So anyways, that is my personal take on this stock. Again, it really just depends on if you're kind of a shorter term trader, like you like to hold positions for 3 days, 5 days, 10 days, if that's where this fits into your portfolio or account, or maybe you're more into like, hey, a 5-year, 10-year hold, and that's maybe another thing. So stocks like this, they could get acquired if they're cheap enough. So always be mindful of that. And that's where that upside swing could come in as well. But, you know, this stock from the 80s has grown quite a bit, and then it's pulled back. And now for this last 20 years, it's kind of been doing sideways, hasn't really innovated too much. So you have the sideways area, but you are getting it near the bottom or lows of kind of this area, near that $23. If you're, again, longer term thinking, if you're thinking the next 20 years, if you're thinking maybe, you know, the next week or two, well, you could almost stab a little bit in it, go a little bit at a time, and slowly build a position over a week or two and see if the price follows through. If it stops following through, then I would probably take a pause. So anyways, that's my personal take on it. Be mindful, it is just the first day, and things obviously can change very quickly. Thanks for joining me. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next video.